Sponsored by APSUsoil.com, and this is a 21 and up live channel. So if you're not 21, it's not made for kids. So get out. Look how clear that water is now. That's what I'm talking about. And we still got no water. We added the grass there, but we still got zero water in our trap hole down there. So that's good. Still the same as it was. Our splash zone has been cut back dramatically. Tomato plant looking good. What up, Stutter? What's going on, buddy? Appreciate you stopping by real quick. Just doing a quick walk around. We're going to take a look at these flowers over here in a second. But I put this rock here. It actually fits perfectly right in there. But it's catching a lot of water. Well, not a lot, but a little bit of splash there. And I kind of like it when it sits there. We put this rock here and this rock here. So just seeing how much water we were catching. And it's not enough to even drip off. It basically just splashes every now and then. Enough to get damp, but not enough to like create a flow coming off. So that's good. We did put Junior in yesterday, but I haven't seen Junior. It's probably up underneath one of these rocks up there. Over in the corner somewhere. But I would guess he's up underneath one of these rocks. But, I don't know. Splash is pretty good. Just keep an eye on it. You know, it's constantly changing, so everything's it's gonna build algae up, and the algae's gonna redirect flow. It'll change the splash. All we gotta do is move these rocks around a little bit, and that can change basically the flow of the water, the splash. Before you know it, it'll get crazy in here. Our tomato is going to start to grow more because we just went up to 14 hours of light today. So I added in an extra hour today. So we'll be an extra hour. Instead of 13 hours of light, we're going to go to 14. We're just going to be adding in, we're going to go to 16, and we're going to be taking some flour. These things are just about done. We turned them, kind of like pancakes, flipping them. So we had them like this. Now we run over to this side, and you can see the lime green there. But we're real close to my liking anyway. I know a lot of y'all are going to be like, could have gone another 2 weeks. I hear that all the time. Could have gone another 2 weeks, bro. I think they're done. They look pretty damn tasty to me. The smell is off the chain. The flour, what am I trying to say? Little white hairs there, you know, they're all dried up, basically shriveled up. Pistils, little white pistils. Usually when they dry up, like they look right there, that's kind of where I like to be. Cloudy. I want cloudy, not a whole lot of amber. I don't mind a little bit of amber, but cloudy is where I like to be. You can see this one's still going to need a little bit more time because it's not as close as those up there. And you can see where they were getting light right there on this side. So I flipped them. And now they're starting to get those terps to start flow on that side. Kind of like I said, we're flipping our pancakes and we're going to get them done on both sides. This one over here, this is the orange lean. You see this side's pretty much done. This side over here needs a little bit more time. The thing smells like a grape popsicle, like a cherry grape popsicle. And that one over there, that one smells like the milk at the bottom of your cereal bowl after you get done eating some Fruity Pebbles. That's what my buddy came over here and said, man, it's like, it smells like Fruity Pebbles. And I was like, yeah. It's like kind of like a little sour milk at the end. He was like, yeah, like if you're drinking the milk. He was like, exactly. I was like, yeah. It's like, this shit smells like almost like you want to eat it. This one over here has got more of a berry-ish kind of funk to it. So all in all, it came through pretty good. Yeah. Let's see what's going on, Uncle Jesse. What's going on, Chris? Going away. Yeah. Glad everybody stopped by. Appreciate everybody stopping by. We're close. We're real close. You can actually see the other cloudy, and they're starting to cloud up. And that's how I want them. I want them cloudy. I don't really want them amber. I want a little bit of amber, but I don't want a lot. I like to be on the more of the cloudy side. I'm getting a phone call. I can't take it right now. We are busy at the moment. Yeah, rest in peace, Shiner. We got Shiner Jr. now, though. Shiner Jr. is in the house. Although we won't see him for a while. Probably disappear for a little bit. Here's the top. Bing, bing. These little nubs down through here are getting bigger. Starting to frost up nicely. The creek is looking good. Been pulling some of this algae out down here. This is our filtration. The algae is our filtration, so we don't want to get rid of this. I know a lot of people are like, we need this and this to get rid of that algae. I don't want to get rid of the algae. This is my filtration. So I use this to feed my soil. So we feed the soil every day. Just putting it in there. It's like candy to them. All the isopods, critters, and everything just eat that stuff up. And all the poo and everything that's caught in it, it's released into the soil for the biology to eat. And this is called feeding our soil. Basically what we're doing is feeding the critters. All the isopods. Let's see if we can, they're usually hanging out over here in the grass. They like to dig down in, there's one. They like to dig down in the grass. Those are our workers. So if I move this just a little bit, probably got a little mess down there. If you look closely enough, you'll start seeing springtails. Oh, here's a gold one over here. So you can see all that worm casting right there coming up over the top. That's all used to be sand, silt, and clay that's in the creek. So that stuff just comes up over the wall. That's the creek wall. And then the grass grows in it. And then worms run through it. And over time, it turns into worm casting and soil. And this stuff down here is what gets everything going. So we're talking about nutrient release. So we're breaking down organic matter and releasing the nutrient availability to the plant. That's what it's all about. In nature, it takes workers, it takes critters, and a lot of them on the ones we can see and the ones we can't see. More importantly, the ones we can't see doing the main work in the soil. That's why we started our shows on Thursday night at 6 o'clock, Soil Discoveries with me and Agro Soil with Mo. We deep dive, so I'll be in here and I can show you like what we're actually looking at. So we can pick up a little bit of soil and like I can be showing you literally right here the worm casting. And then Mo can put it on the scope and we can deep dive into that worm casting. You can see they're all little balls stuck together if you look closely. And those are castings. And inside those castings are nematodes, flagellates, all kinds of critters that are doing the next stage of pooping, the shit loop, so to speak. Once the shit loop gets to the bacteria and fungi, these guys and girls can uptake all that nutrient that they're releasing and then feed the microbes through photosynthesis. It's so complicated, but basically very simple, but extremely complicated at the same time. But the plants like to get frosty in here for some reason. I think that's because we've got so much going on in here. We've got the diversity going on. We've got water, we've got sound, we've got critters. And that kind of stress and environment, we mimic outdoors, but we can also regulate temperature, we can regulate environment, we can regulate lights. We can give a perfect environment, but also give the stress of outdoors with the food coming from the pond, with no filtration in the pond and in the creek. The creek is our filtration, so everything that comes out of here with our turtles and our fish. Where's Cooter and Scooter at? Oh, there, look at it. Sitting there staring at me like, Coot, what's up, Coot? Look, I mentioned Coot and Scoot comes running. Coot and Scoot. Scoot and Coot. You're all waiting for something to eat. I'm always waiting for something to eat. cooter over there. That's our goldfish. But yeah, these guys produce the food, basically the shit we need to pump through that pump, and we'll run through the creek there. That's being wicked up into the soil pocket through the sand and silt that the worms are taking. Through all this stays wet, so we don't have to water it. So all this stays wet. That water moisture come in, the roots grow to the creek wall and attach themselves and go to town. And with that, we don't have any pests because the diversity in our soil is so great. All those springtails and road beetles, isopods eat the larvae of the spider mites and all the critters. So look how alive that is down there. It's literally moving. So nothing stands a chance upon pest larvae. So the pests have to come down here and lay their eggs most of the time. And they get destroyed, eaten, so to speak, by our army. Look at the springtails down there. The tiny ones are the springtails. The tiny, tiny ones. So that's aeration. Look at the big guy right there. So you think he's small, but look at the ones around him. Like all of that there. This is just the first stage. So these guys are eating organic. They're eating the chop and drop that we drop. So all the leaves and stuff, they'll shred all that stuff and get it ready for the next stage. So the things like the springtails and then the road beetles and all those things can then eat that, and then goes down and, you know, the shit is what we're after. They're shit. So you multiply all those critters down there, and you multiply their shit. The more they eat, the more they shit. The more they shit, the more food and bacteria we have going on. Because the bacteria is in the shit. Just like it's in your shit and my shit. Everything's about shit. It really is. And how it cycles. Everything's a cycle, you know, in your mouth hole and out your butthole type thing. It's a cycle. Look at this one over here by itself. Just dangling. I can barely reach it. There it is. It's over here dangling. Hanging out. Looking tasty. This one smells, they're tight too. They're tight bud. Nice tight bud. That one smells more peppery. Got a nice hard pepper at the end. Thank you, E-Train. Appreciate you. You eat yeah. Anything good like that. All that stuff's good for you, man. As long as it ain't toxic or anything like bugs and stuff. Yeah. They eat soil. Soil, as long as it's healthy, is pretty good. Got the good stuff in it, I guess. Of course, don't take my word for it. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know anything about nutrition. I know, let's see, the basics. Healthy soil produces healthy food. You eat the healthy food, you get healthy. You produce healthy shit. You can put that shit back in the soil to feed what you took. Compost, get it up, you know, it's just a cycle. Pretty cool. If you can feed that microbiology food constantly. So my thought process behind this is basically a compost tea. So the same way you make a compost tea, you put it in a bucket, you put water, you put some compost in a mesh bag or whatever, then you want to bubble that stuff. And when you bubble it, you, over the course of time, grow good bacteria, good protozoa, and all these different things that are down in the soil that break down and continue the nutrient cycle process. But this is kind of the same principle here. So we're taking fish shit, we're pumping it up through the pump, and we're going to aerate it as much as we can consistently. And then eventually all of this becomes a nutrient-dense creek that will be wicking water up out of the creek into our soil where our plants are, where we don't have to water or feed the plant at all, because the plant will grow to the sand and silt. You see how we have it around the edge here. We have it spread across the top of the soil as well. We have it disconnected right now. We just connected it this morning. So I've just got a little beeline here. You see how this stays wet? The water's way down here, but it'll wick water all the way up. And that water will come right on down, and over the course of like the next 3 or 4 days, all this will get water. So that water will wick right into here. And all of this will be wet. We can come over here, add a little bit more, connecting this. We connect this to that. That will wick water in, and everything will basically feed itself. Then the worms, so all of this that you see, turns to that. So this, or that, over there used to be this. And here I added some right here. So this right here is from over there. That's the new stuff. This used to be that, all the way around. But over the course of the last year and a half, those guys love the sand and silt. They love it. There's a springtail. That's a big ass springtail right there. Springtails are always like the crazy wild people, wild guys down there. They're always doing that, like woo, quick, and they're tiny as shit. But they eat spider mite larvae. They eat all kinds of crazy larvae that we don't like. And this is kind of why we don't have spider mites anymore. We don't have like fungus gnat larvae, spider mite larvae, all these things. That's why we don't have them. We have a vast array. Imagine how many of those are in here. It's just looking at that one little spot. You saw it was turning. This whole place is turning like that. It's really hard to imagine how it works, but I mean, you can just pick up one little thing and it's just like a madhouse. It's like everything is turning constantly. This is why we don't need perlite. We don't need aeration. These guys do it all for us. Like they're constantly pushing, turning, shitting, trying to stay out of that light. They don't like light. This is why they're always under something. And then they create a home in this pine cone here. Get them up in there. It's called dairy cow isopods. And we've got all kinds of just regular isopods, regular roly-polies. We've got yellow and black roly-polies. We've got gold ones. I've seen some like near purplish ones almost. But yeah, anytime we move something, usually there's going to be something under there. You know what I mean? It's just that alive. And the reason it's that alive is because it has a constant water source. Not only is it constant water source, but it's a constant food, and the moisture content is perfect all the time. Like it's nature keeps it that way. Like that sand and silt will only hold what it holds, and it releases the rest. So this stuff will only hold what it holds. It'll stay moist, and then it releases the rest of the water. It'll continually pull that water in, leak it down the sidewall. Whatever's touching the sidewall will, like the roots, the soil, everything will wick that water up. If we have too much connected, it'll leak all the way down into our reservoir here, our E-horizon, where it can sit and wait outside of the soil zone, just like over here. So you can see this is our pond liner right here, but there's 12 inches of a foot basically of water space, and the soil sits on top of this. So there's a clay layer. I don't know if you can still see it, but this is how this whole thing works. Separate from soil. See the clay layer down there? And you see the soil on top, and then the pea and sand and silt on the bottom. So the pea, sand, and silt is the same as this stuff right here. Lines the whole bottom of this bed. The creek and the pond sit on top of 6 inches of that stuff. And then on top of that layer is the clay, and then on top of that is the soil. Water runs down through the soil, hits the clay layer, will seep down through the clay layer down into the pea and sand and silt, and that is where it can be stored without having to worry about going anaerobic in our soil pocket. So we can pull water from the creek simply by using the sand and silt. It's a great wick. It's nature's wick, basically. Pretty cool. Yeah, Ron, what's up, man? Dirty. Appreciate it, Georgia. Appreciate E-Train, Uncle Jesse. Appreciate everybody stopping, man. Yeah, that's, we're trying to create, that was my whole concept behind this. In my head, I was like, they keep talking diversity, but how can you have diversity if if the diversity itself doesn't have a home? It doesn't, you're setting up a system that supposedly is diverse in microorganisms, but it's so hard to keep that, so hard to keep that diversity alive in a small enclosed pot. Like, the smaller the pot, the harder it is. A 4x4 bed even, it's pretty difficult. You got to be on your game with the water, with the, if you don't have an irrigation, even the irrigation is tough to get moisture, evenly all across your bed. And that's the only way you're really going to get diversity in the microorganism world, is to maintain that moisture level all the time, or somewhere there close. You know what I mean? Like, they have to have water. And that's where, the creek and the pond, and, the creek was really just like, I live on this reservoir here, so I have the access to a creek. I have access to this pea, but what I didn't realize, I didn't know how to use it. And once I learned how to use this, so you can take this right here and turn it into this right here. Same stuff. And you can do it really quick. And all this did, if you think about it, all it did was allow Mother Nature and the biology, the worms and the critters, to run through it and shit it out. And over and over and over again. until it gets broken down, the mineral in all that silt and sand. Just, you see, sand is falling off. The silt is what stays behind. The silt is tiny. Then you got the organic matter in there, tiny little bits of organic matter. That's what they're after, the bacteria that's on the sand, silt, and peat. And the more bacteria we can build up on that sand, silt, and peat, which a lot of it's coming from the creek, turtle shit, fish, and the shrimp, and all the other shit that's flowing through the creek, getting trapped by the algae. The algae then basically connects, or we pull it out ourselves and put it in the soil. That algae is photosynthetic. It likes light, so it eats light. That's why algae grows in the light. But that's how this whole system works. It's really feeding off itself. In the loop, basically the shit loop, completes with the pond and then the creek. The creek has to be maintained, and if we maintain the creek, we maintain the soil. The biology in the soil will then maintain everything out. The nutrient being released to the plants is maintained by the biology in the soil. So if we can give a good enough home to the biology in the soil and maintain moisture content all the time, you will get the best result from your soil, because you're combining basically your terrestrial with your aquatic. You're doing both, and that's where it's at. I'm trying to tell people, like, it's a nature thing. If you want to fight it, you go ahead, put yourself in a pot. I'm not telling you to build something like this. I'm saying bigger is better. That's why putting it outside or in the ground is always best. You know what I mean? A horizon, you can do a 4x4 bed, or even a 30-gallon pot in a horizontal way, and fill it from the bottom. Like, literally let that water come up from the bottom and be wicked up from the bottom up, like an earth box, so to speak. If you know what an earth box is, same principle. But the biology has water all the time. I'm doing this. This is basically an earth box, but with water running on, feeding the top as well. So I am keeping my mulch moist, and I'm running a reservoir at the bottom, so they can wick water up from the bottom, and the biology on top is staying nice and wet and moist and thriving. This is why we get grass growing. Grass is starting to grow in the creek now. You can see it all through here. If I can focus on, look at the grass grow in the creek. Yeah, it turns out it's working quite well. Once I dialed in how much water we're wicking and how to regulate that water, simply by disconnecting. So you can see over there, we're disconnected. There's no sand and silt on that rock all the way around, because we were wicking way too much water. Come to find out, you only need a little strip, and that water will wick up over and cross and keep on going wherever it doesn't need to be connected. The more you're connected, the more water you're wicking. And I found out real fast, if you don't have plants wicking that water up out of the soil, you end up with water in your hole. You end up with a wet butthole. Not cool. So the way we do that is just remove and then add when we need. So like when I cut these plants out, when I get rid of all these ladies here, most of that water is going to fall, and we will get water in our trap hole over there. And then when we replant right beside these old roots, the new roots will tap into the old and start wicking right on that water. The bigger they get, the more water they'll take up, and we'll be right back into our normal routine. Just like over here, we just got to dial this in a little bit. We're dialing this in. So we got all our leaks fixed. We got our splash fixed. Now I know There are no leaks. I know the only way we're getting water in our trap hole is by connecting it. So in order to get water in our trap hole now, we have to connect the soil to the creek and wick it up out of there. Once I can do that, and we know we can do that simply by connecting it, but we'll probably get water over there right now because we don't want to connect it because we don't have any plants in here wicking up any water. So once I get the grasses really start to go, once the grass covers everything, we get some roots going in here, the sweet potatoes going. I mean, you can see this is gonna get stupid. Right. We've just added a couple more, we added another hour of light, so our tomato plants are definitely going to take off. 14 hours is pretty much all we need, like somebody said, to re-veg. 14 and a half, we'll re-veg for sure. That's why at 14, I'll only keep them here for like a day. They're going to get that extra 2 hours of light, or the extra hour. They've been getting 13. And then we're just going to come in and take these tops, the ones that I think are done. Take all those tops over there, put them in the canitrol, dry them over the 4 or 5 days they need to dry, and then put them in some grove bags and then do the next cut round. If we see that we are over ripening, then we will just turn the lights down. That's all we need to do is turn the lights down. Right now we're pushing 1,000 ppfd around here. Probably a little more than down below. Down in here we're at 800, 7. The lower we go, the less light we get, but that's why we're going to take the tops first. They'll ripen first. Plus the tops take the longest to dry. The more moisture in there, the more it's going to take. Canitrol does a really good job. It's on the big ones. They say 4 days. I usually let it go 5 to 6. Just to make sure they get nice and get most of that moisture out of there before they go into the cure. But we're curing in grove bags with a VV pack just because I don't have the space in the canitrol. But I still have to come and put all the rest of this in to dry. And I have to take out what's already dried before I can put in what's not dry. So we got a new place to put the other dry stuff. So the grove bag is my favorite. That's what I've been using forever. Before I got a canitrol, I was using grove bags with the VV pack. I can't remember the. I think VI, I believe it does a pretty good job curing. Usually only takes a little bit, but then those bags, just once they're done drying, I can everything's done drying, I take the grove bag and everything, put everything in grove bags and stick it all back in the canitrol and let it cure the rest of the way in the canitrol, because I can maintain temp and dew point in the canitrol, and that's what it's all about. It's maintaining, not fluxing in your temperature and your humidity and your dew point. Look at this monster. Anybody want to buy a Monstera cut? Let me know. I'll give you a good deal. It's a monster. You better have some room. There's a new one back there. There's something cut our leaf though. Damn it. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, they do. I've heard they fruit. I've never seen one fruit. This one hasn't fruited, but I'll tell you what, if one is gonna fruit, it's gonna be this son of a bitch. Because it is a monster. It's shooting out damn new shoots everywhere. This is a monster of a photosynthesizer, I'll tell you that. It's just stretching to the light. Like, it wants this light, it wants that light. It's just stretching to the light. Look at that thing. You can't even see my hand when I'm touching it. Can't even get it all in the damn picture frame. Stupid. You go back and look at video way back and look at it. Started, these things won't even cross in the pond. It was like 3 leaves, not even crossing the pond. Now, a year and a half later, it is completely taken over just about everything. This one over here, close. Crash in the system. We did all right, I think. We came roaring back. There's some white pistils right there. See, that's what we got to keep an eye on when we increase the light, because they might want to re-veg, but I'm just pumping them right now. Right before we cut, I'm just pushing light like crazy. That's where we want to be. I want to push photosynthesis, and I want to push terpenes with the light. That's what causes terpenes to form. It ain't nitrogen, it ain't sugar, it's light, power. If you're cutting your lights off before harvest, you're doing yourself a big injustice. And that's not me talking. That's Dr. Bruce Bugsby talking. And if you want to argue with him, you go right ahead. But they got proof. And I can tell you right now, the proof is in the pudding. It's just as easy as flipping your bud over and looking. You can see done where the light was hitting, not so done where the light's not hitting. Kind of like, when you're cooking something, like you're flipping your pancake. Don't forget to flip your pancake. Gotta get light on both sides. That's why under canopy lights are huge now. Like, I was screaming under canopy lights for you. Like, when I first started growing, I was like, why don't we have lights underneath? Like, if it's all about light, you should have lights underneath. And then, like, 2 years later, everybody's talking about under canopy lights. I'm like, yeah, see? It makes sense, right? Light pushes terpene. Look at that terpene right there. Insane. And of course, I got work calling, so I'm probably going to have to cut this live short. But we don't have much more to talk about anyway, other than terpenes. Yeah, earth boxes are awesome. Go see. I mean, that under, watering from the bottom up is, I think, unmatched, really. You really, I think it's the way nature really wants it. And then every once in a while, flood the top, you know what I mean? Like a good rain, everything perks up and then dries out. Good rain, perks up, dries out. Now this is totally different kind of from that. I'm constantly wicking water, but I am disconnecting in certain places and allowing it to dry out some, but not all the way. And I'll never let it dry all the way. But we do let it, you can see You can see the moisture line right on top, but just underneath that moisture line, there's moisture and isopods, critters. And these guys are working. A little working crew. You gotta keep them happy, and water keeps them happy, and food. They like food and water and a home, just like everybody else. So, keep them happy. Keep your critters happy, people. That's all we're gonna say. Keep your critters happy. And with that being said, we've done 45 minutes and I've got work calling, so we're going to cut it short. I got to call them back because God knows shit falls apart. Everything looks good today. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the Thursday. Don't forget Thursday, 6 o'clock. Me and I Grow Soil on this channel, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Soil Discoveries. Sponsored by APSU Living Soil. So, we'll see you on the flip. Peace.